Think you're ready to move to Arizona? Well, don't. Arizona can be awesome, but it can also be terrible. And we think it's good to know both the good and the bad before you move here. So we're going to give you an in-depth perspective about learning in Arizona so you can see if it's going to be a good fit. What's up? I am Shauna Karowski. I am here to be your guide all about living, moving to, and relocating to Phoenix. And if you want to know all about that, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell. It should be right there. And that way you don't miss any of our videos. You can continue to learn about what it's like to live in Phoenix, what it's like to relocate and move here. And, we're getting new relocation clients every week. We're helping people find the right place in the valley for them. So if you're thinking about moving anywhere in Phoenix, Arizona and the surrounding suburbs, reach out, call, text, email us. We would love to help you. So we're going to break down the 9 things that drive us crazy about living in Arizona. So number 9 is got to be the dry heat in the summer. So first of all, our summers are dry and they're hot. And, if you're coming from someplace that has humidity, it is totally different. Like when you go to bake cookies or, you're roasting something in your oven, when you open that oven door and that heat just kind of blasts in your face, that's what it feels like outside in the summer. And the sun is intense. It is hot and it is dry. Your skin will be dry. Your hair will be dry. Your clothes will be dry. That's more of our hard water thing, but still, it kills anything plastic that's outside in the summer. If you have a big umbrella to kind of shade your backyard from the intensity of the sun, you're going to be replacing those a lot because the sun just kills everything here because it is so intense. Another thing about the heat in the summer is it's a long time. Our heat lasts from, it starts getting really hot in May and it can go all the way until October. So it's a good 6 months sometimes of heat, and it's relentless is really a good word. By the time August rolls around, most of us are like, just get me out of here. I'm dead. I'm done. I'm sick of being hot. I want some cooler weather. So we always leave the valley, us smart people. We get tired. We go up, we go camping, we go north, we go to the beach because it is a long time and it's very hot and it's very intense. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a break. And the other thing to think about is that sun really zaps your energy. In the summer, you don't want to go out and cut the grass. You don't want to do any outside chores. Sometimes you don't even want to go to the grocery store because it's just too hot and everything is hot. The sidewalk's hot. The door handles are hot, and so it's just something that you need to be aware of and get used to because it is hot and it's dry and it's a long time. So number 8 has got to be our critters. If you don't like bugs, you don't like snakes, you don't like scorpions, don't move to Arizona. So a lot of people have this misconception that you're going to have snakes in your house and you're going to have scorpions in your house. And that's not true for everybody. So here's the deal. If you live in an area so if you live in a new construction area that's newer, you are a lot more likely to have snakes and scorpions than you are if you live somewhere in a more established area or in the city. If you have, view fencing and you have desert landscaping behind your fence and you have that, wrought iron view fencing, there's a much higher likelihood that you're going to see snakes and scorpions and maybe other critters. We have a lot of spiders here too that people aren't really aware of. You're a lot more likely to see those if you live in those areas. If you have, that wrought iron view fencing, I would not be surprised to find snakes in your backyard. Or if you live, kind of on the outskirts where you're not really in like a neighborhood. If you're up in maybe Anthem, they have a lot of snakes up there. If you are surrounded by desert, I would not be surprised to find snakes in your backyard. Typically, you won't find them in your home, although it's not unheard of. A lot of times you'll see them in your backyard, on your patio, sometimes in your driveway. Just depends on where you live. Scorpions, now they're an interesting little story because scorpions actually have these migratory patterns. And if you happen to build your house where their migration patterns are, you are going to have scorpions. So it's very interesting. I have lived here my entire life, and I have only seen, I think, 4 scorpions my entire life. So I've never had them in my house, thank God, because I don't do scorpions. I would rather see a snake in my house than a scorpion any day of the week. But typically you'll see them outside, sometimes in some areas of Scottsdale, some areas of the East Valley, Mesa, Chandler, some parts of Glendale. And then of course, if you're closer to, like Anthem, New River, those places, you're going to see scorpions a lot more than in some of the other areas. There's actually a scorpion heat map. We'll pull that up here and show you so that you can kind of see where they're at. And if, you're not into critters, then you might want to think twice about moving to Arizona, because we definitely have them. And like I said, some areas are worse than others. Now, the good thing is scorpions are really easy to kill. Rubber mallet, a tennis shoe, anything. You just step on them and, squish them and they're dead. But, a mama scorpion I think they have a ton of babies on their back. So we'll show you a picture here, what that looks like. Anyway, if you don't like critters, don't move to Arizona, because you will encounter them at some point, as long as and it might just be, spiders. If, we have these big, huge Campbell spiders in certain parts of the areas, we definitely have black widows here. And, if you're out a lot more in the Southeast Valley, they have spiders, but we do have a lot of spiders here. So make sure that if you're thinking about moving here and you don't like critters, and especially if you have dogs and you guys are going to be out on the mountains and hiking and the trails, make sure to maybe get your dogs rattlesnake trained so that they know how to handle that and be aware of it. Because if you're out on the trails and you're hiking and doing those things, that's where you're going to see them more than any other place. So just something else to keep in mind. That is one of the things that kind of drives us crazy about living here. And if you, like I said, you will run into snakes if you're out on the trail. So you just need to be aware of that. So number 7 is going to be, Phoenix is a large city. So if you think you're coming to Phoenix and it's this sleepy little town, don't move here. Phoenix is huge, and it's huge in population and it's huge in area. So Phoenix itself is smaller in the center, but the surrounding areas is huge, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. So let's say, the airport is going to be central, right, to all of the areas of Phoenix. So if, you live in Glendale, it's probably going to be a half an hour to get from your house to the airport. If you live in far northwest Surprise, you're looking at probably 45 minutes, maybe an hour. If you're in the East Valley and Chandler, depending on the time of day and traffic, it's probably 30 to 45 minutes. So unless you live right in the city, in the heart, or, in Phoenix, you're looking at probably minimum half-hour commute just to get to the airport, to kind of give you an idea. So the Phoenix metro area, Maricopa County, is almost 5 million people. So there's a lot of people here. And some of our suburbs, the populations are larger than some states. So there's a lot of people here. It's not as crazy as some places like, Los Angeles. Of course, I don't even know what their population is, because most of them are moving here anyway. So, but it is a large city. So if you don't want city life and you don't want big city life, Phoenix is probably not going to be a good choice for you. So number 6 is going to be transportation. So we don't really have great public transportation here, and that's because Phoenix is just so spread out. So you really have to drive everywhere. So if you don't like driving or you don't like commuting, Phoenix is probably not going to be a good place for you, because you have to drive everywhere. And like I said, with the exception of like the grocery stores and maybe Home Depot and things like that, if you need to go somewhere, you guys want to go to a restaurant, maybe something different, you're probably looking at a minimum, I would say a minimum 15, 20 minutes, but it's probably more likely a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes if you want to go to a different restaurant or a special restaurant. We have a lot of chain restaurants here, so we don't have a lot of mom and pops. And if that's something that you like to do, you're going to have to drive, unless you happen to live in a place like maybe Arcadia where there's a lot of them, or the Biltmore. Typically, you're going to have to drive for that. So you have to drive everywhere, and traffic sucks. So I'm just going to say it. Now, Phoenix is on a grid system, and they've done a really good job with the freeways. When I was young, I'm kind of aging myself here a little bit, but there were two freeways. There was I-17 that ran north and south, and then there was I-10 that ran east and west. So I will tell you, try to stay away from both of those freeways if you can. We have all these other freeways that loop around, and it's great because pretty much they just go in little circles all over the city. So it makes commute time a lot less. We talk about this a lot. If you're going to be commuting or driving somewhere, you definitely want to try to stick to the freeways as much as you can, unless it's rush hour and you're going with the flow of traffic. Sometimes those surface streets can be a little bit faster. And the good news is, with the exception of a couple of areas, there are some washes that break up that, but most of the time you can just make right or left turns and work your way through any traffic mess that you might get into. The other thing about traffic is the speed limit is kind of a suggestion here, because nobody drives the speed limit. Most people drive at least 10 miles over, sometimes 15 and 20. People drive fast here, which is crazy. And the other thing that we have here, we have a lot of wrong way drivers, and we have a lot of wrong way driving accidents that, are pretty severe, because if you think about it, somebody's driving the wrong way. They're typically on freeways at night, and they don't ever usually end up very good. Sometimes the police can, catch them. We have a lot more systems in place now to kind of alert police when those situations are happening, because we've had some pretty bad fatal wrong way driver head-on collision accidents that are just devastating. So you have to be careful if you're driving at night. I personally love the HOV lane, and I'm always hugging that left side of the freeway because I almost always have somebody with me, and you can just get where you're going a lot faster. But once that sun goes down, I'm on the right side of the freeway. I don't even travel over there because that's where they stay. They stay on the right side of where they think is the right side of the freeway, which is actually the left side of the freeway. So if you're driving at night, stay towards the right side of the freeway. It's a little bit safer than driving on the left side because of all of these wrong way driving incidents that we have here. And the other thing about, transportation and traffic and traveling is, windshields. We have rocks everywhere here, and you're going to need to replace your windshield probably, if not annually, probably every other year. So that takes us to number 5, which is all about cars and the sun and Phoenix. So we don't have rust here because we don't have a lot of moisture, but the sun will bake your car. It will bake the paint on your car and make it look terrible over time. The sun will also kill your car battery. Don't expect to have a battery longer than about 2 years, because after that, the heat just, like I said, the heat just is relentless and it kills everything. So it's going to kill your paint if you park it outside. It's going to kill your car battery. And we had talked a little bit about the glass coverage. Since there's so many rocks here, you really need to have, if you're going to move here and you're going to live here and you're going to drive your car, you need to have windshield coverage with your auto insurance, because like I said, you're going to be replacing that windshield often, because we have rocks. They get on the freeway, they come out of people's trucks, they hit your windshield. So just some things to think about with your cars and the sun and the heat and the summer. And I will tell you, your battery never dies in the winter. It always happens in the summer. So just keep that in mind, that you're going to burn through batteries, and you're going to burn through windshields for sure. So number 4 is, if you like green, or you come from somewhere where you're used to forests and trees and a lot of rain, you're going to be disappointed, because we live in a desert. And I'll be the first to admit that the desert is not the most beautiful thing. It can be, but for the most part, everything here is brown. All of our houses are brown. Our yards are brown. Our desert is brown. So everything is just different. So if you're used to lush green grass and a lot of trees everywhere. It's different here. Even our trees are not as bright green as they are in a lot of places that get a lot of rain. We don't get a lot of rain here, and we're often in a drought, and we're in the desert, and water has been an issue forever in the desert. It's going to continue to be an issue forever. So, they really plant a lot of drought tolerant plants, and they're just not as bright and as lush as some of those trees that you may be used to. And it's a different look. Like if you've ever been to Las Vegas doesn't have a lot of trees. Like they just have, it's almost like a moonscape, and it's just dirt everywhere. But Phoenix is not like that. We do have a lot of vegetation, planted, landscaped, and things like that. But even the desert, there's a lot of plants. They're just different shades of brown, mostly, unless we get a ton of rain during our monsoon season. And then they might turn like a light green. But for the most part, just know that most of our houses are brown, and the desert is very dry looking and brown. And that's just because we don't get a lot of rain. So number 3 is going to be our lack of forest, beaches, lakes, etc. If you come from a place that has forests and a ton of lakes or a beach, we don't have that here. So if you're looking and that's what you guys do for recreation, you're going to be sad, because you have to go typically at least a couple of hours for the most part to get most of those things. Now, we do have Lake Pleasant, which is it is in far north Peoria. And so if you live in the northwest side of the valley, you can go hit Lake Pleasant. It is a huge lake. They have restaurants out there. They have, they do concerts out there. It's really awesome. A lot of people hit Lake Pleasant in the summertime because it's just so hot. And, you can jet ski out there. They have a marina. So if you want to have a boat and store it out there, you can do that. We also have some other lakes that are not too terribly far in the East Valley. But, if you're looking for a lot of lakes and forests, we definitely have that. But you've got to travel, I would say at minimum an hour and a half, probably 2 hours, either north going up to, Prescott Valley, Flagstaff, or if you're going to go up into the northeast part of the state, up in the Payson area, or even further, Show Low, Holbrook, all of that. So up on the Mogollon Rim, it's absolutely gorgeous. There's a ton of lakes up there. We have beautiful national forests here in the state of Arizona, but they're not close. It's at minimum a day trip. So if you're looking to find that here in the valley, it's just not here. So we do have some beaches like on Lake Pleasant, but it's not white sand. It's not ocean. So it's just totally different. So if that's something that you're used to and you like and you want to have those kind of, natural outdoor activities, we don't have that here. What we have here is a ton of mountains and a ton of hiking. So if you love to hike, Phoenix is your place. So number 2 is going to be the rising housing costs and the cost of living. So if you're moving here because you heard Phoenix was affordable and it's cheap, do not move here. You will be disappointed. Phoenix is no longer an affordable place to live. Housing is 17% above the national average. So if you're looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, the median price for that right now is it's a little under $450,000 because it's just going down right now. But, the days of coming here and getting a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house for about, 250 or 275,000, those days are gone. That ship has sailed. It's not ever coming back. So if that's something that you heard that Phoenix was super affordable, that is no longer the case. So also our utilities are 6% above the national average. So in the summertime, you're going to have your air conditioner running. It is not uncommon to have a $400 or $500 a month utility bill in the summertime. Now, typically you can get what's called like an equalizer, or they'll take the same payment, every month. So instead of paying $400 in the summer and, $60 in the winter, it evens out and you can pay a couple $100 a month year round. So our utilities are more expensive. And right now, since the end of 2020, prices in Phoenix have risen a combined 19.4%, more than anywhere else that's measured by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So Phoenix is experiencing a lot of inflation right now. Things are very expensive. Housing is expensive. Gas is expensive. Groceries are expensive. Utilities are expensive. So, the cost of living is very high in Phoenix. So if that was one of your reasons for moving here, don't. And then the number one thing that drives us crazy about living in Arizona is, I'm going to say it, and if you're from California, don't hate me, but it's Californians or people that are moving here from other areas that are trying to do the same thing here that they did where they came from and screwed it up. So we have a saying here, don't California my Arizona. And that basically means don't bring California to Arizona. You're coming to Arizona because Arizona is different and it's better. And I will tell you, not to get super political, but Arizona is a red state. Traditionally, we're very conservative. We believe in carrying our guns and choices and less government control. So, if you come here and you even mention toll roads, you need to, don't do it. Just don't do it. All of these things in these other places that you left because you no longer liked, don't come here and try to impose them on Arizonans. We don't like them. And please stop throwing trash all over the freeways. We have the nicest roads. We've always had the nicest roads. And these people keep coming here and they're destroying Arizona. They're making it dirty. They're making it messy. We see graffiti in places that we hadn't before. So, there's a lot of that's going on. There's a ton of people coming in to Arizona from California. And, we've heard from these people that, and if you go on some of the message boards and things like that, people will tell you, if you're moving to Arizona from California, don't drive your car around with your California plates on. Get it registered in Arizona. Take that little license plate frame that says the name of the dealership in California. Get that off your car. And if you have a little sticker, you might want to take that off your car too, because we've heard stories of people getting really upset with other people that have relocated here from California because, obviously California is having some serious issues and, we love our state and we don't want to see some of those issues that are plaguing California come to Arizona. So those are the 9 things that as Arizonans drive us crazy about living in Arizona and that you need to know, because it's not all good news and it's not all peaches and cream. Traffic sucks. The heat sucks. Scorpions suck. So there's a lot of things that you just need to be aware of. There's a lot of great things about Phoenix, but you need to know the negatives too. So this should give you a pretty good idea of what to expect, good and bad, if you're moving to Phoenix. And we know that living in Phoenix is not going to be perfect. I mean, now I've lived in Phoenix my whole life and it's not perfect. So, but if Phoenix is the right place for you, we want to make sure that you find that perfect home in that perfect neighborhood, in the best neighborhood and the best city for you. And the only way that can happen is if you reach out to us. We love helping people relocate here. So call us, text us, email. We are here for you. We would love to help you. We'll ask you questions about your lifestyle and we'll be able to figure out based on, where you're at in your life, what your family life is like, what you like to do for recreation and where you work, what would be a good area or areas for you to think about as you're relocating to Arizona. So like I said, make sure you call, text, email. We are here for you.